Stalingrad stripped war down to what infantry actually carried. Mosin-Nagant appears first. Role, standard service rifle, designed for mass issue under industrial strain. Relevant in ruins because reliability mattered more than speed. Strong in durability. Limited in close urban tempo. It set the baseline, but it could not carry momentum alone. PPSH-41 follows. Role, close-range submachine gun, designed to flood short distances with fire, relevant inside factories, stairwells, and housing blocks. Strong in volume, limited beyond short ranges. It solved proximity, then exposed reach problems. DP-27 enters next. Role, squad automatic weapon, designed to provide mobile suppression, relevant when squads had to hold ground. Strong in simplicity, limited in sustained fire. That gap demanded heavier answers. PTRD-41 appears under pressure. Role, infantry anti-armor rifle, designed for emergency armor encounters, relevant only at dangerous distances. Strong in penetration, limited by single-shot exposure. Desperation forced improvisation. F1 grenade closes spaces. Maxim M1910 holds ground. Captured MP40 adapts shortages. Molotov cocktails emerge. This category sets the baseline Soviet infantry entered Stalingrad carrying. These weapons were designed for scale, not refinement. They worked across continents until ruins rewrote every assumption. Mosin-Nagant M1891-30 appears first. Role, bolt-action service rifle, designed for mass infantry fire under severe industrial constraints. Its doctrine assumed open ground and measured engagements. Stalingrad forced it into corridors, cellars, and collapsed rooms. Its strength was mechanical reliability under dirt, cold, and neglect. Its limitation was tempo when seconds mattered. It remained effective until buildings compressed distance and punished delay. SVT-40 follows with ambition. Role, semi-automatic infantry rifle, designed to increase individual fire output without squad support. It reflected pre-war expectations of trained, disciplined riflemen. Urban combat exposed training gaps and maintenance pressure. Its strength was faster follow-up shots on paper. Its limitation was sensitivity to dirt and handling. It promised modernization, but siege conditions stripped away consistency. PPSH-41 enters as an answer. Role, submachine gun, designed for overwhelming fire at short range. Factories, stairwells, and rubble corridors defined its environment. It matched combat distance instead of doctrine diagrams. Its strength was dense fire in confined spaces. Its limitation was reach beyond streets and courtyards. Up close it dominated, but alone it could not replace rifles. Together these firearms formed the Soviet Infantry Corps. Each solved a specific problem. Each exposed another. That pressure forced the infantry kit to grow outward. Quantity defined Soviet planning before the city fight. Standard issue meant replaceable, trainable, and quickly issued. Stalingrad removed replacement speed from the equation. Rifles stayed relevant because ammunition supply remained simple. Submachine guns surged because distance collapsed unpredictably. Semi-automatics sat between, demanding care the environment denied. None of these weapons were wrong. They were simply built for a different battlefield. Urban siege punished balance and rewarded specialization. This category matters because it shows limits. Standard issue solved scale. It did not solve adaptation. That failure set conditions for heavier support. Seen together, the baseline kit explains Soviet losses and endurance. Reliability kept units armed when supply fractured. Fire volume compensated for training gaps under stress. But nothing here was sufficient alone. Every advantage came with a trade-off. Those trade-offs accumulated fast. The infantry load began demanding reinforcement, not because soldiers lacked courage, because weapons met limits. This baseline is the foundation. Understanding it prevents myth-making. It shows why escalation followed, and why infantry survival depended on layers. Without this context, later weapons appear excessive rather than necessary. Stalingrad rewrote expectations permanently. Nothing returned to baseline afterward. Again, rifles established presence, but they could not control space alone. They needed suppression that moved with the squad. This category exists because precision failed under constant pressure. Automatic fire became the connective tissue between positions. DP-27 comes first. Role: light machine gun. Designed for mobile squad-level suppression without heavy crews. It followed infantry through rubble, shell holes, and fractured streets. Its strength was a simple, durable operating system. It tolerated dirt, cold, and inconsistent handling. Its limitation was endurance under sustained demand. The Pan magazine constrained continuous output. It solved mobility, not prolonged dominance. That gap brought in heavier answers. Maxim M1910 appears next. Role: heavy machine gun, designed for sustained defensive fire over extended periods. It belonged to prepared positions, not moving squads. In Stalingrad, ruins became firing platforms. Its strength was continuous fire without immediate overheating. Water cooling enabled endurance others could not match. Its limitation was immobility once emplaced. It anchored units to specific rooms or corridors. Together, these weapons answered rifle limitations. They provided suppression where accuracy alone collapsed. But they created new dependencies. Squad-level automatics changed how infantry measured control. They did not replace rifles. They stabilized them. Suppression bought seconds, not victory. Those seconds allowed movement, withdrawal, or reinforcement. Combat accounts suggest DP teams became focal points. When they fell silent, squads lost cohesion. Maxim crews carried institutional memory of positional warfare. They represented continuity from earlier conflicts. Urban ruins blurred the line between offense and defense. Machine guns became anchors instead of backstops. This forced commanders to think in layers. Light guns covered movement. Heavy guns denied approach. Neither could solve everything. Weight, ammunition, and crew demands accumulated quickly. Logistics followed automatic weapons like a shadow. Once supply faltered, firepower advantage eroded. This reality limited how long positions could be held. Automatic weapons bought time, not permanence. Time became the valuable resource. That trade defined squad survival. Automatic fire required ammunition flow and positioning discipline. When movement stalled, heavier systems took over. When movement resumed, weight became liability. This tension defined Soviet squad combat. It explains why infantry organization continued evolving. Rifles started fights. Automatic weapons decided whether ground could be held. But even this layer had limits. Those limits forced another escalation. Armor changed the problem set immediately. Rifles and machine guns could not answer steel. Infantry needed something that existed only for armor. That need forced emergency solutions. PTRD-41 appears under pressure. Role: anti-tank rifle, designed for emergency counters against armored threats. It existed to give infantry a last resort answer. Urban ruins forced extremely short engagement distances. Combat accounts suggest effectiveness depended on proximity. Its strength was penetration against early war armor. Its limitation was exposure after a single shot. It worked briefly until armor adapted tactics and protection. PTRS-41 followed as refinement. Role: semi-automatic anti-tank rifle, designed to improve follow-up capability under pressure. It addressed the exposure problem directly, issued in smaller numbers due to complexity. Public reporting indicates maintenance demands were higher. Its strength was a faster engagement cycle. Its limitation was mechanical sensitivity in harsh conditions. It improved capability, but not reliability. Together, these weapons mark a turning point. Infantry could now threaten armor directly, but every attempt carried extreme risk. Anti-armor rifles were situational, not universal solutions. They depended on courage, timing, and opportunity. As armor adapted, effectiveness narrowed. This forced another escalation in infantry support. The answer would not come from rifles alone. It required different tools and different thinking. Anti-armor fire exposed the limits of individual solutions. The battlefield demanded layered responses. That demand pushed infantry weapons into a new category. Close-range armor threats reshaped fear and planning. They forced soldiers to confront steel directly. These rifles filled a gap no one wanted. They were necessary, limited, and temporary. Their presence changed behavior more than outcomes. This category explains why infantry escalation never stopped. With armor partially answered, attention shifted to explosives and improvisation. That shift defined survival inside the ruins, where armor, infantry, and terrain collided daily under pressure. Stalingrad broke assumptions faster than weapons broke walls. Open-field doctrine collapsed inside rubble and vertical confinement. Maneuver space disappeared almost overnight. Firepower density replaced movement as the primary measure of control. Individual weapons stopped defining outcomes. Layered combinations began determining survival. Rifles alone failed under constant contact. Machine guns alone fixed positions but invited encirclement. Anti-armor tools solved moments, not momentum. The battlefield punished single-solution thinking. Every strength exposed a weakness immediately. Urban ruins forced proximity. Proximity multiplied pressure. Pressure rewarded redundancy over specialization. Improvisation stopped being temporary. It became institutionalized through necessity. Units adapted loadouts based on buildings, not doctrine manuals. Weapons were chosen for rooms, stairwells, and sightlines. Formal issue mattered less than immediate availability. Command structures flattened under constant engagement. Decisions moved downward. Initiative replaced planning depth. Firepower became layered by default. Rifles covered gaps. Automatic weapons stabilized chaos. Explosives compensated when neither worked. Issued weapons still mattered. They simply stopped telling the full story. From this point forward, infantry effectiveness depended on combinations. No single item defined capability anymore. The system mattered more than the component. This is the pivot most accounts miss. Stalingrad was not about better weapons. It was about adaptive integration under collapse. Once doctrine broke, survival rewrote priorities. That shift explains everything that followed. This category emerges when formal weapons reached their limits. Constrained space forced infantry to adapt with what remained available. F1 grenade appears as standard issue. Role, defensive fragmentation grenade, designed for area denial rather than precision. Its relevance peaked inside rooms, trenches, and basement cellars. Confined geometry amplified its intended effect. Its strength was a predictable blast pattern. That predictability reduced uncertainty under stress. Its limitation was short throw range. That range forced proximity no one preferred. It became essential, but always situational. Grenades compensated where firearms failed. They solved angles rifles could not reach. They also increased risk with every throw. Molotov cocktails followed by necessity. Role, improvised incendiary weapon, designed to fill gaps left by missing equipment. They existed where industry could not supply answers. Their context was close contact desperation. They relied on availability, not formal issue. Their strength was low resource effectiveness. They required no factories to remain viable. Their limitation was extreme user risk. Exposure increased with every deployment. They were symbols of necessity, not doctrine. Improvised tools reflected battlefield reality. They blurred the line between equipment and improvisation. Infantry adapted faster than supply chains. These weapons carried psychological weight. They shifted burden onto individual soldiers. They demanded courage under constrained conditions. Public reporting indicates widespread reliance during shortages. Accounts vary by sector and intensity. Use increased when formal systems failed. Grenades and incendiaries reshaped room-to-room combat. They shortened engagements while increasing danger. They forced rapid decisions under pressure. This category proves adaptation mattered more than design. Constraint became the driver of innovation. When doctrine collapsed, necessity filled the gap. These tools did not replace issued weapons. They supplemented failure points. They existed because no alternative remained. From here, attention shifts to what soldiers carried from the enemy itself. This category closes the escalation loop. When supply failed, adaptation crossed enemy lines. MP-40 appears last. Roll, captured submachine gun, designed for German infantry doctrine. It entered Soviet hands through battlefield opportunity. Its context was immediate necessity, not standardization. Ammunition access dictated its lifespan. Its strength was compact handling in confined interiors. It balanced well in tight rooms and corridors. Its limitation was total dependency on captured magazines and rounds. Once ammunition ran out, usefulness ended abruptly. It could not be supported by Soviet logistics. Training familiarity also varied widely. Some units integrated it briefly. Others discarded it after single engagements. Its presence reflected pressure, not preference. Captured weapons filled gaps created by collapse. They solved moments, never systems. They offered short-term advantage without long-term stability. This was adaptation at its outer limit. Beyond this point, escalation stopped. Nothing remained except endurance. This endures. Stalingrad proved infantry survival came from layered redundancy, not individual weapons. Adaptability outweighed specification under constant pressure. No single tool defined success inside ruins. Combinations mattered more than caliber or design. This arsenal forced post-war armies to rethink urban combat doctrine. Weapons were judged by integration, not novelty. Omissions here reflect scope, not oversight. That legacy still informs how cities are fought today under modern doctrine and planning assumptions.